Today on Horsepower, we're going to use this 572 big block and this modern muscle machine to try out a system that's been called the chemical intercooler. It's actually a new age version of a technique that goes back to World War II. The Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, the heaviest, most expensive U.S. fighter in the war, and the first piston-powered fighter to exceed 500 miles an hour. The P-47 got its power from an 18-cylinder turbocharged Pratt & Whitney engine that produced 2,000 horsepower. It burned 275 gallons of fuel per hour, and its range was limited. In later versions, though, engineers increased fuel capacity and added water injection, which alone added 1,800 horsepower. At high altitudes, though, the water would freeze, so the Army Corps of Engineers discovered a 50-50 mix of water and methanol would not only prevent freezing, but help the engine produce even more power than water alone. Here's basically how water meth injection works. A 50-50 mix is sprayed through a nozzle just before air enters the engine. As the tiny droplets go from liquid to gas in the combustion chamber, they absorb heat, slow the flame front, and prevent detonation much the way high-octane fuel does. So the octane rating is increased 20 to 25%. Plus, a cooler, denser charge means more complete combustion of fuel. With controlled water meth injection, more timing and boost can be added for more power.
Anything that needs cooling and cooler air going into it and octane, we can benefit.
Matt Snow founded Snow Performance in 2002, designing, refining, and manufacturing affordable water meth systems for diesel and gas applications. With the growing popularity of blown and turbocharged high-performance engines, Matt's timing couldn't have been better.
This is our Stage 3 system. It comes with the high-pressure, high-volume pump. It includes a level switch to tell you when you're getting low. It comes with our latest controller. It's a 2D map system with boost and fuel injector pulse width. It actually has a screen on it that tells you things inside your vehicle. This is a safety device that monitors flow, and if ever flow goes low, it'll send out a signal to make your tune safe. This is our 2.5-gallon trunk mount reservoir, and it comes complete with brackets for those that want a little more fluid on board.
Snow Performance also makes the Stage 2 muscle car kit for naturally aspirated engines that don't use MAP sensors. We'll use it on our 572.
We haven't used this engine in quite a while, so before we install the water meth kit, a brand new baseline's in order. Running it on 110 octane race fuel, as we've always done. 700 horsepower, 620 foot-pounds of torque is our baseline. Next, we're dumping the 110 race fuel and filling the dyno fuel cell with much cheaper 93 octane pump gas. For dyno purposes, John fabbed a plate to mount the reservoir and pump, which is specifically made to sustain high horsepower. This digital controller controls injection with vacuum instead of boost like with a supercharger. This solenoid is a safety device that prevents vacuum from pulling fuel at idle. The only wiring needed is for grounds, starters, and switches. And the pump draws very little current, so no heat issues even if you run it all day.
Then the LED lights, typically mounted on the dash, to let you know when the system's injecting. After some Loctite thread sealant, we're installing the largest number 6 nozzle into the nozzle holder, then installing it into the provided base plate. Next, a gasket goes onto the carb studs, followed by the plate, then another gasket, and the carburetor. Next, a little plumbing connecting the reservoir to the solenoid, from it a hose to the pump, and from there over to the nozzle. The black vacuum hose goes between the plate and the controller. Now we want to check the gap in our plugs. It should be about 30 thousandths for this setup. Time to lock and load with Boost Juice, Snow's 50-50 mix of methanol and water. Now you can mix your own, and in a pinch, washer fluid contains methanol in smaller amounts. It may not be as pure. And last but not least, you need to prime the system just to make sure everything's good to go.
It took us about 25 minutes to hook everything up in real time. I'm blown away by the simplicity.
Thank you, Mike. You're right. It takes about 2 to 3 hours to install, so it's not a lengthy install. We tell people it's a bolt-on. It's not internal engine work by any means. It's not a complicated install at all.
Hey, check this. We're using an extra nozzle just to show you the swirling atomized spray pattern of the nozzle. And it only uses about a thimbleful every 10 seconds.
When a guy has an engine like this, it's probably going to be in a door car, bracket car, or something like that. When he's at wide open throttle making a quarter-mile pass, how much fluid does the engine actually use from the snow system?
This is a 3-quart reservoir in one pass. A 700 horsepower car will get approximately 7 quarter-mile passes out of that 3 quarts.
That's pretty impressive.
It doesn't take much.
After baselining it at 700 horsepower, we swapped the race fuel for 93 octane and installed a snow performance kit for muscle car motors. Now the big block's warmed up and ready for a follow-up run with water methanol injection.
On the first couple of runs, the engine was breaking up at about 6,200 RPM because we had an overdose of fuel and methanol in the cylinders. So first, a jet change. 92s. Let's go 87s.
Here's your 287s.
Let's see what that does for our top end. Same.
Yeah, 6,200, man. It just starts to fall. Let's back off the water map a little bit.
To do that, John turns the flow adjustment back 180 degrees.
Okay, let's see if there's a trend now. Sounded good.
Very good. 691, 597. We're getting back in there now.
We have demonstrated many times with our product on top of 93 octane, we can equal or beat 116 octane race gas. Take her quite as high that time.
Took it to 6750.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
There we are.
Damn, 733 horsepower.
618 foot-pounds.
We'll take it.
We found the sweet spot by turning the pump down and increasing the ignition timing to 40 degrees. That's a gain of 33 horsepower on pump gas over our race gas only baseline.
No, it liked that timing.
Absolutely, that's awesome.
Put one more in.
We're at 40 degrees right now.
No, that's for the amount of water meth we're putting in, I think that's pretty good.
Water meth injection works best, though, on turbo or supercharged engines like the Hemi in this new Dodge Challenger.
A car like this Challenger with a centrifugal with a Vortex supercharger, is leaving at least 20% of their power on the table if they don't have a water meth kit.
We've got a kit made for it we'll use during test number 2.
We started the day with a 700 horsepower baseline burning race fuel in our 572 mule motor. We installed a snow kit that uses vacuum to control water methanol injection. Then the same engine running on pump gas made 33 more horsepower. Now we'll test a snow system that's controlled off a boost. This Challenger's got a supercharged 6.1 liter Hemi that's been heavily massaged with forged pistons, rods, and much, much more. So it ought to give us a high baseline number. And it does. 523 horsepower, 493 foot-pounds of torque on 6 pounds of boost. Let's get the car down from the dyno and up in the air to install the Snow Stage 3 system. With a blower or turbo under the hood, there's not much more room for anything.
We got the module mounted here on the console for easy access. It uses both boost and fuel injection pulses to control the water meth injection. Now, using only 2 buttons, you can find the ideal curve for your vehicle while you're driving. By the way, it also works with EFI engines without boost.
The only change we made with the controller was setting when the snow kit starts to inject. The boost remains at 6 pounds, just like the baseline.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, you can see it kept it cooler by about 40 degrees.
Which gave us 41 more horsepower, 41 foot-pounds of torque. That's at the tire. At the flywheel, it's 60, 65 horse.
And just bolting it on.
That's awesome.
Good work.
I like your idea.
Thank you.
Very nice. Maybe it's time to put a little snow in your forecast.
You're watching Horsepower.